All right, welcome back to the Unforced Errors podcast. This is episode 2. If you missed episode 1, that will be listed. Hopefully you'll check that out. It's us literally struggling through on how to podcast. So today we have me, I'm Frank, and over here we have...
I am Carl.
He's still Carl.
Always.
Yeah. All right, Carl. Today we are going to talk about your new favorite paddle. We are going to talk about the Joola Agassi / Groff / there's no difference between them except very minimal grip circumference.
Hey, it matters.
But we did get to demo these at the pickle bar. Tell me what your thoughts were.
Well, I forgot my bag, so I was like, hey, can I demo a paddle? And they were like, yeah, here you go. Check out this Agassi. And I was like, I don't know about this shape. So I went into it kind of thinking like, man, this shape is weird. Played with it and literally instantly loved it. I don't know why, but I really, really liked it. It has, like, it's soft when you want it to be soft. It's hard when you want it to be hard. It has good control. I will say the sweet spot might be a little bit iffy.
With that shape, I think that's going to come with it.
Yeah.
It's such a strange shape.
But I did kind of, so, you know, I like the shorter handle, like what's on my J2s, and when you look at the shape of the Agassi, it's kind of cut up at the top, and I actually really like that. The handle did not bother me. It was great. It was like great for two-ease. It felt really comfortable in your hand as far as the length of the grip. The only thing I didn't really like about the grip is it is kind of a square handle, which aren't my favorite. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you throw an overgrip on that and you can't really tell as much. But I didn't mind it as much as I have on other ones with square handles. Right. I think that the grip circumference is great. I used both of them. It is very slight. I think it's...
Yes. So the grip circumference difference is on the Groff, it's 4.125, and on the Agassi, it's 4.25. So it's very minimal. I don't think I used the Agassi. Did I use the Groff?
Yeah,
I used the Groff. I didn't notice anything, but to me, without putting an overgrip on, it doesn't feel good ever. There's no stock. There's nothing against Joola. I need an overgrip, and now that overgrip just happens to be Bodhi, and that's what I'm on now, thanks to you. So I think if I wrapped that, it would feel different, but I didn't think it felt bad. Yeah. I thought the shape was a little strange. I mean, it's elongated, but it was a little bit interesting to play with something like that. But you're looking at 16 and a half inches on the length, 7.5 inches width. Grip is 5.5 inches, and that was a 16 millimeter.
Yeah, 16 millimeter.
They also make the 14 in that. We did not try that one,
no.
So can't speak to that. But I have never played with the mod. I know you have.
Yes.
But I would agree with you that the sweet spot, again, felt a little bit small, especially coming from some of the other paddles that we've used. But I thought it was good. I was surprised how good it was in the soft game.
Yeah, yes. It was super surprising because it kind of has that trampoline effect. I know they say it's a little different inside, but when I went to drop, when I went to dink, I really expected it to be kind of hard because the power is good. Mm-hmm. And it was nice and easy. The soft, when you want it to be soft, it's really soft. Yeah. That's one of the things I really liked about it.
It feels like Joola is now, with this generation, the new Perseus and this one, they're starting to finally dial it in and not make them too hot, but just kind of get it right. It's taken several generations and some failures, but it seems like now it's getting there. This one is UPAA approved, which is the standard governing body for PPA and Major League Pickleball, MLP. Mm-hmm. So that's a good sign for the Agassi.
And it's a good sign for Joola too.
Definitely, because they need to get off of these paddles getting too hot, because they make some great stuff.
They do.
You know, just like a lot of their other ones, you're looking at $280. I mean, it's tough to recommend at that price when you have so many other paddles that are significantly less. But I think if that's your game and you really want something that hits hard but it's great in the soft game and you like that shape, I mean, There's
Well, also if you're a fan of Agassi, go buy the paddle.
And I am. I'm not a $280 fan, but I am a big fan.
Go support your pros,
Andre and Steffi. So
they say it has the new SK film for added stability. So I'm not 100% certain. I
felt like it felt pretty stable for that shape. It was just that sweet spot was just a little bit small.
It was, and you could feel that a little bit, but that's coming from paddles with pretty big sweet spots that we're used to. They say the SK film is an evenly distributed layer of film between the honeycomb core and the paddle's textured carbon fiber surface to help generate more power and increase the entire sweet spot of the paddle. So I think that must work, because if you look at this paddle, you would expect the sweet spot to be pretty small, and it's not that bad.
No, it's not just terrible. I don't want to stress like, oh, this is a bad sweet spot. It's just, and this is totally normal for an elongated paddle. Standard shape is going to have the biggest sweet spot, then hybrid, and then elongated. So this is not out of the ordinary, but every paddle up here is hybrid. That's what we mostly play with, although we've played with all three. So I think when you come down from one of those, it's noticeable, but it's nothing like I would not buy it because of that. But I think you should definitely try it out if you've got a Joola rep somewhere, and give that paddle a run.
I would honestly too. I would say it's great for a beginner just because of how well it handles the soft game.
Yeah. And
when you are soft on it, which sometimes you have a tendency to kind of hesitate, which I definitely do, it kind of reacts well. It's a little effortless. It's not something with a lot of pop where it's gonna just fly off the face, but it also has adequate power. I think it's just a really well-rounded paddle. I was surprised by it. I think it's similar. I haven't played with the
Perseus.
Yeah. But I think the construction is pretty similar. I might be wrong on that, but I was surprised by it. I really, really enjoyed it. I want one.
Yeah. Well, that's normal. Nobody falls in love with paddles faster than you. That's impossible.
I still love the Super Court, though.
Yes, and going back to the Super Court, I could feel the poppiness in the soft game immediately.
Yes.
Switching back from the Agassi, because I did like that.
Oh, and I will say, that reminded me, when I did switch back to the Super Court, I was like, this seems really heavy. Did you
thought that I put weight on it from the last time you used it? I said I did not.
That paddle is really light. The Agassi paddle is really light. I think putting some weight on the sides or down on the throat a little bit would add a lot of stability and maybe even make that sweet spot a little wider.
Definitely.
So
yeah, I think
as soon as they send us those paddles, I will give that a try.
Right. Average weight is 8.1. I believe the Super Court's like 7.7 to 7.9, but I also added the overgrip and the edge guard, which is definitely going to add a little bit to it. It's not like adding a slice cap or something dramatic, but yeah, it was interesting. It did definitely feel a lot lighter. So
yeah. I mean, it's a fast paddle too. It's overall, I really, really enjoyed it. I didn't think I would. Don't let the shape scare you. It's a great paddle.
I'm just saying, try it before you buy it. That's all.
So the graph one says 7.8 on the weight too, and it says it varies.
Yeah, they're usually plus or minus a couple ounces.
Yeah.
So that's normal. But I think those paddles are pretty much identical with the exception of the colorway and the grip circumference size.
Yeah,
so.
I think they are too.
Cool. All right, so moving on, let's talk about some pickleball shoes.
That is your domain.
It's becoming mine. It's just apparently I have difficult feet. I don't know. Maybe it's the weight. Certainly a problem. I am wearing shoes out. I mean, I started off with, when I first started playing, I had Adidas Court Jams, which were great. And then it's about that 5-6 month mark. And I wasn't even playing as much as we are now. And they started to bother my feet a little bit. So then I ended up switching. I went to ASIC Gel Resolution 9, which was touted as the best shoe and durability, and they were quick and felt like very low to the ground, and they were stable. But again, 4 or 5 month mark, they just started hurting my feet. Sometimes it's the heel, sometimes it's like up, in the ball of your foot.
Yeah.
I wore those out on the ball and of the foot. The Adidas were kind of just worn kind of all over, mostly in the front of the foot. And then I went from those and I bought some Head Revolt Evo 2.0s, which is like an older model of the heads. I got a good deal on those. And I thought they're roomy toe box. I don't necessarily need a wide shoe, but I need something that's not narrow because some of these regular normal shoes are way too narrow. So I felt like the Head Revolt was like perfect. Felt amazing. Then I wore the heel out. Never worn a heel out in a shoe. So I must be doing a lot of backpedaling on the court. So those are getting warrantied, and I am going to be upgrading to the Head Sprint Pro 4.0. So those ship today. Nice. Maybe they'll be here in some days. We don't know. I've been battling some shipping issues, so we're going to try and get through that. But currently we are using these used, dirty Selkirk shoes. And I have to say, I don't usually use too much Selkirk products outside of the balls are my favorite, hands down. But
I love those
I don't
too.
usually climb that high into the spending of a paddle from them. But the shoes, $120, $20 gift card. I got them. It's been almost 3 months, and they're great. Not really showing any signs of wear. Very stable. So that big difference between where they say the tennis shoe and the pickleball shoe, there does appear to be a difference.
Okay.
And there's, I think it's Zach the Foot Doctor on YouTube. Look him up. He's a wizard on cutting these things open and deep diving.
Oh, really?
Fascinating stuff.
I'll have to check that out.
So he went through and he agreed, but these are built for pickleball, for the side-to-side stability.
That's good.
So far, the Selkirks have been awesome. I would like to just find a shoe. Unlike paddles, where I like to keep going back and forth, I'd like to just find a shoe that I can just buy 3 pairs when they're on sale and be done. But I just don't think that's going to be a thing for me. I think we're just going to keep hunting.
I think as far as pickleball, too, like the wear and tear is really almost number one, and stability. But I think a lot of these shoes that are coming out, like pickleball shoes, I read a lot of reviews, and it's like they only lasted me a couple weeks or a month. And for a shoe that's $100+, I think they should last. And these ones seem like they're holding up really well.
Yeah.
We play a good bit, and for 3 months of play, I think that they still look relatively.
And they're my primary shoe, and we don't really, there's no terrible weather here. If it's pouring down rain and I have to run to the covered court, I'm still wearing those. Like I'm wearing those to and from the court. And if I need to pop into the grocery store, I'm wearing those on the way home.
Yeah.
But so far I've been really impressed with those. They do make another variation. I don't know. There's some technical specs that are slightly lesser than these. These are supposed to be a little more stable, so that's why I went with those. But for the price, I mean, I used the $20 gift card to buy more Selkirk balls. So. Yeah, so really, for $100 in reality, I don't think you can beat it right now.
Yeah.
I know Cypher's got some out there, and there's a few other brands that I'd like to try just to kind of get a feel. But I'm hoping to settle on something at some point.
Yeah, I would say we'll keep you updated on the Selkirks here. Frank's gonna keep wearing them, and we'll let you know the longevity of those. For me, I can't really wear any pickleball shoes because the arch support just destroys me, because I've spent my whole life skateboarding and wearing flat skateboard shoes. So I've permanently messed up my feet, which is why it takes me a while to be able to walk normal in the mornings.
Well, that also comes with age, Carl.
Well, yeah.
We're learning that.
That's very true.
What are you using currently, shoe-wise?
So,
what's the skater shoe converted pickleball?
Well, let's start. I started out with the Ashad, Nike Ashads. I went to the Vans AVEs. They didn't have a lot of stability, but I really liked them. They wore out really quick, though. But I've been using the Nike SB Zoom Nyjah 3s, skateboarding shoe. Nyjah Houston, the best in competition skateboarding.
Of course, I know him.
His shoes are great on it, and I actually saw a couple people using them too that we play with. They've been lasting. I've been using them for probably like 4-5 months now. They're still great. They have some wear on the toe, but I mean they're meant for skateboarding, so they're gonna be
It can take a beating.
durable.
Yeah.
So if you're a skateboarder that wants to play pickleball and you just cannot wear anything but skateboarding shoes, I recommend the Nyjah 3s.
That's why I think it's important to bring it up, because you're not a traditional example, but shoes are so subjective. So subjective. Yeah. So what works for one person doesn't always work for the other. So,
I mean, I started in Janoski slip-ons. Loved it.
Yeah, I mean, the first time we played, you showed up in slip-ons, and I was like, "You're gonna roll your ankle. What are you doing?" But somehow you have not.
I have a new pair at the house. I just have to break in.
All right, good. Let's talk about some news. Looks like last week we had a little bit of an upset, Carl.
Just a little bit.
It does appear that Ben Johns, who is number 1 in the world for those of you counting to 1, got beat. Quarterfinals of the Carvana Mesa Cup. Got beat by 16-year-old John Goins, the 40 seed. Don't see that every day.
No, that's pretty incredible. By John there. I bet he's feeling pretty good right now.
I would imagine I watched the clip and I watched a little bit of the match, and I would imagine that Ben slamming the paddle at the end of the match was just, I mean, nothing against Ben. He's obviously a tremendous competitor, but that's not how you want that to go. It went 8-11, 11-1, 11-7. The 11-1 stings a little bit. I'm hurting for Ben on that.
That does sting. I mean, everybody has an off day, I guess, or an on day. But 11-1 is pretty substantial.
I mean, he battled back, but that's the beauty of it, is you get to see some wild stuff happen in this sport. And I mean,
that's what makes it fun.
It certainly happens in tennis too, but it's not too often you see the 1 seed go down from the 40 seed. It's not a common thing.
Well, and the other thing too is, pickleball is growing so fast that you have someone like Ben Johns, who has been number 1 for a while. He's still relatively young. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's like 26 or something. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
But you have these young kids coming up, and the game is different for them. You know what I mean? They're doing things a little different. They've learned a little different. The game has evolved. And so I think you're going to start seeing some of these younger kids start to really do well. And this is an example of it right here. And I'm sure this kid grew up idolizing Ben Johns.
Right. But it's just so hard to stay at the top of the mountain. I mean, Ben Johns has done it all. There's nothing he hasn't done. Yeah. He is the Michael Jordan, of the sport.
Yeah.
But at some point, it's really hard to stay at that level, no matter what type of athlete you are.
Oh, yeah.
And pickleball is a sport, for those of you that don't think it is, which those people aren't listening to this. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's just really hard to stay at that level. And you just wonder if Ben maybe just is ready for a break at some point.
I don't know. I expected him, getting a new doubles partner and kind of, it almost like he was revamping. And I'll keep watching. I think maybe he was having an off day. I don't know. But I do understand his frustration. I'm sure. I think that this 16-year-old, I think he must have a solid mental game. I can't imagine going up on and playing against like your idol.
Yeah. Some of these people just come out of the womb fearless. And, they're just built for it.
Yeah.
And I need to look more into John just to see what his background is, because at 16, I mean, he could have been playing pickleball for 5, 6, 7 years now, I guess.
I mean, he could have been playing since.
But maybe he was also converted tennis player.
Yeah.
You just never know. If you start tennis, you could be starting at age 3. So
yeah,
anything's possible. But yeah, I think that's a good segue, Carl. We should probably discuss the next topic, which is going to be the mental game of pickleball.
Yeah, so that's kind of a good segue. Me personally, that is something I struggle with greatly.
Both.
In any sport, really, but pickleball especially. Pickleball, like your mental game in pickleball is so important. Especially because, for me personally, I'm a people pleaser, Frank.
I do know this.
So me letting my partner down it's tough for me to deal with. And so sometimes I'm hesitant on shots, or I don't want to, run into them, take their space, even though it might be appropriate for me to do so. I can be hesitant on that as well and kind of yield a lot, which can lead to our center being open. And I think that's something I've been working on a lot recently, actually. And me and you have talked about that, how to not be hesitant. Also, old ladies are my kryptonite. Yeah. I'm terrified of hitting an old lady because I hit an old lady in the face.
Not on purpose. Let's clarify.
It wasn't on purpose.
She's a very nice woman.
So nice, and she was so nice about it. Her glasses even bent a little bit. But I was about 3 weeks into pickleball, and I wanted to hit hard. It wasn't a good idea. Get control, and then start driving. But so that's always kind of haunted me too.
Yeah.
But between the doubles, like letting my partner down and stuff, that's really the hardest part for me, and staying hesitant, not being secure in my shots. And Tanner Pickleball actually said that pickleball is not a game of highlights, it's a game of errors. So minimize the errors and you're going to win. Don't always go for the kill shot. That's something that's helped me kind of dink to the center, aim for the center. Don't always try to get a line hit or try to get a slam. Be okay with the ball coming back to you. And that kind of helps you not hit and watch the ball. There's a lot of pros to that. And I mean, you can talk about I know you're mentally sound.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's nothing about my game that has anything to do with me ruining my mental health each time I step out there. But
you've never left early.
Never has it just not worked for me, and I've just had to go home and shower, just wash it off what just happened. But yeah, I think to tag on to what you were talking about there, I think that it is a game of percentages, right? And sometimes taking these down the line shots or these crazy, positioning shots, it's a matter of just getting the ball back over the net. If you're 4-0 or under, the biggest thing is keep the ball in play, let the other team make the errors. But it's hard to do. It's hard to be patient. You could dink 4, 5, 6 times. It's just like in the back of your head, you're like, I just want to rip one for a winner. Yeah. But it's back to what Keith said. There are no winners. We just keep playing until the end. But it's just one of those things that it's so easy to get consumed by. I mean, I've had issues. When I started, I could not serve to save my life. When we started playing, I was just like probably hitting like 9% of my serves, and then started going up, and I just couldn't figure out what worked. What can I do to fix this? And for me, it was just a matter of getting like a bag of balls and just going out on an empty court, no pressure, and just getting the motion down and getting that muscle memory down. And then realizing that in play, you're so ramped up, and now you're even more ramped because you're so nervous that, to your point, you're letting your partner down, you're letting yourself down, whoever it is. Serving the ball out is the worst. I mean, you're just giving it away. Yeah. And so it's like, now I'll just try and get it in play. It might just be like a little looping serve, and I just try and build on it with each serve, because if you go in there and it's fun to rip a serve, and when the serve is on, it is awesome.
Yeah.
But if you're up 7, 8, 9, then go ahead and start ripping a couple, not all, but you can throw a couple faster ones in there. You shouldn't be serving at 100% anyways. It should be 70, maybe 80% at your highest. And in reality, those are, you're better off just to get the serve in than you are to try and ace. There's just most people are going to field that. Unless you're playing some really super beginners that have never seen slice, or have never seen topspin drop right at the line. And, even those people, after you do it multiple times, they're going to realize, I just have to back up.
I think serves are not where you should focus your game if you're just starting out. It's not super important until you get to a certain level.
Right.
And it can really affect you mentally. Like you said, if you miss a serve, then you're missing points. You're not getting points. And I've kind of told myself, too, it's kind of like when you hit it into the net because you want to kill it or something. I've started telling myself, if I hit the tape, that was close, that was fine. You know,
I'd rather do that than pop it up.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly.
Because now you're only an inch away.
Yeah.
As opposed to just giving your opponent a chance to smash on you.
Yeah. It's kind of like in disc golf when you're putting, for the people that disc golf out there. You always, if you hit the band, it makes the worst sound in the world. And it always feels like a secure putt, but it hits the band and it flies off. And that could be really frustrating. But then I did the same thing in disc golf. It was, if I hit the band, I was like, you know what, that was a solid shot. The confidence was there. Don't let that affect you. Same thing when you hit the tape in pickleball. I think that Ben Johns, for example, actually said too, he said, like, don't fight yourself on the court. Don't go out there and get upset with yourself or like fight your inner thoughts. Give into it. Realize that this is all a chance to learn. Maybe think about what you could try differently. And he says basically to like find your zen. You know, if that's tap yourself on the back of the arm to remind you to stay balanced, or have kind of a mantra. Mine's kind of like, here we go, or bend your knees.
Well, yes,
It's a good reset.
We're good to remind ourselves of that because we don't do it nearly enough.
We don't.
But yeah, no, I agree with all of that. And I think, like we were talking about earlier, for me, there's kind of a hard stop at like about 2.5 to 3 hours of consistent pickleball. I'm not doing myself any favors still being on that court. It's like I could go eat, get some water, relax for an hour, and I'm ready to play again. But just pushing through because I just want to keep playing. I'm just getting to the point, like we played the other day, I had some friends in town, and that last game is like, why am I still on this court? I'm just doing silly things.
Well, you're doing it because it's fun. But the thing is, if you're out there at hour 3, if you're making mistakes, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've been out there a while, your body's tired. You know, think about more when you're fresh and when you're through a couple games, and find one thing to kind of focus on more than just running out there and hitting the balls. That'll help you kind of bring it in, because consistency is king.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how fast you can drive, how good you can drop, how fast your serve is, how much spin you have. It's all about consistency. If you're consistent, you're gonna build your confidence, and then your mental game is gonna get way better. And also a great thing is to play to your level, and that doesn't mean like play low, but it's like play just a hair above. Play at your best. Play people when you look at them playing and you're like, at my best, I can hang with these guys. Go play with them.
You'll get better playing with better people.
Yeah,
There's
you
no
will.
doubt.
And they're also going to be more forgiving if you're messing up. And honestly, from my experience, I haven't met many people that get upset if you mess up. I do know some.
Well, they're in every sport, not just pickleball.
But don't worry about those people. If you're going to an open play or you're joining, go in with confidence. Everybody has started somewhere. Everybody has learned. Even Ben Johns started somewhere. Go in with confidence. Know that you're working on your own game. Even though it's doubles, play your own game. Play to your level, and you're going to get better doing that. Don't beat yourself up.
Yeah. Best advice I could tell you is just slow down. Just literally reset, slow down. Even if you hit the ball into the net, slowly ramp it up. Some people just get more mad, and harder and hard. It's never going to work. So just slow it down.
Yeah, that's great advice, Frank.
All right, so I think that wraps it up for this episode. Carl, any closing thoughts?
Get out, play some pickleball, have some fun. Check out the shoes Frank was talking about. Check out the paddles. Just
check out all the gear, because just be a gearhead like us. It's not making you any better, but it's fun.
It's an addiction, but it's fun. There's some great videos. Thank you guys for checking us out. Hopefully we can continue to grow together and have some fun.
Yep. If you liked the episode, you got anything out of it, please like and subscribe. If you didn't, then, well, we're sorry that we wasted 30 minutes of your day, but it is what it is. We will catch you next time on the Unforced Errors pod with Frank and Carl. Good night.
See you then.